Yeah, one of my key point, and I always talk about that, is how do you turn your client into mini advocates for your brand? Because if you can engage your client, they will talk about you, and in return, you get more referral, you get people to talk about you, and we all love to have customers like that.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get started.
Real stories and fresh wisdom on the front porch. Join us with today's guest.
Welcome to another great episode of Wisdom on the Front Porch. And today I have Swire Ho with me. I am so glad you're here. And tell us just a little bit about yourself before we get into our conversation.
Great, Alex. Thanks for having me on the show. My name is Swire Ho. I work for Garuda Promo and Branding Solution. We're in the promotional product business. And what one of my specialties are is I work with my customer to turn their client into mini advocates of the brand.
That is wonderful. And that's something we all want. Once we've got that client, it's like, how do we keep the flow going for our business? So, how do you keep it going? How do you turn your client that loves working with you into one of your best, what would you say, word of mouth clients?
Word of mouth, or they will become your referral partner
There
because
you
we could
go.
all use more referral. But before we get to that, a lot of times, I ask my client because they will purchase from me when they do an event or go to a trade show, right? They buy promotional product. But I will often ask them, once you have a customer purchase from you, what do you do to retain them? What are the
Right.
steps that you do to make sure that they order from you again? A lot of times, I will have silence conversation because a lot of company, big and small, have not thought about that. They spend a lot of money acquiring or finding the leads that they want, but then a lot of them spend zero or no effort to retain those clients. Because if you can't retain your client, then you definitely cannot turn them to your mini advocates of your brand.
Yes, that's very true. In fact, just this morning, I was thinking of about three um, companies, entrepreneurs, I'll put it that way, that I've worked with, I enjoyed working with, but they just kind of disappeared. And it's like, I don't want that to happen to my clients. I want them to know that I'm still there for them to help them get through whatever they need help with to support them. So, what are some suggestions that you have?
I think the one of the easiest and it doesn't cost anything to do is to check in with your customer. This is sounds very simple enough, but think about your orders from your order experience, service based, product based. When is the last time the supplier or the vendor call you after the sale?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And we get so busy thinking we've got to get new clients all the time. And
Yeah.
we don't realize that the clients who already have will help send us those referrals for new clients. So that's a really great suggestion. What are some ways to do that?
Well, I'm in sales myself. So in order to do that, on the follow-up call, there are a couple of things that I would do. First, I need to make sure that they're happy with what we provide for them. So
Okay.
I'll ask that question. Are you happy with everything that we have done for you? Fill in, your product and services. Sometimes they will address their concern. Sometimes they would say, I wish that they deliver in a different way, or I wish that they're in a different color. So that's your chance to address those concerns. A lot of time, people want something to change. If there's something within your ability, do that right away for a client. So that means that you care. A lot of times when companies don't address those smaller concern, or sometimes it's just things that you could do anyway, then it becomes a bigger problem. Then it becomes a bigger problem. A happy customer might not tell people about your service, but an unhappy customer will at least ten people about your business. In the age of social media, you don't want unhappy customer on the internet.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. No. Oh my goodness. Yeah, because with reviews even, when we
Yeah.
get reviews put out, I don't look at the number five. I might look at a couple of them, but I look at the number fours and then I'll look at maybe the number twos and
Hmm.
threes, see what the dissatisfaction is. Is it in the product itself, or is it that the person wanted something met that wasn't met? or were they just unhappy because they were having a bad day? I mean, why did they give the lower review? And if it's in the product itself, well, that's something that can be changed by the company. Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah, sometimes people just want to be heard. They just want to maybe complain a little bit. Like sometimes we all do that. I do that sometimes. But if you address the concern and you know that they're happy, the magic question, so to speak, will be, do you happen to know a colleague or friend or family member that could use our product and services? Would you mind to make an introduction to them? So that's how you ask for referral. And a lot of times we complain that we don't get referrals. It's because we don't ask for them. You know, knowing that they just purchased from you, they're happy with what you offer them. Why not ask them, if they can introduce you to other prospect or a warm introduction that you could make more sell.
Yeah, that makes sense. Every other Friday I'm in well, it started out being called the Ninja Networking. And it's really about um, just connecting with each other and staying connected. And that's one of the things they always say is, did you ask or did you just assume? Um,
Mhm.
when I was doing my social media posts, I realized that I was just telling them, this is what I do, but not really asking them to connect with me. And so it's really important that we ask. I mean, why not? This is our business. We want them to.
Yeah, and that's how promotional product can sometimes, influence the engagement that you want. By sending them a relevant gift that is branded with your company logo, send these to this happy customer. If you send them the right, item, what we all have, we are all journalists, right? We are all social media influencer. We could take a picture and post the gift that you send them on social media. In social media term, that's called user generated content. So how much would you willing to spend for your actual paying customer to spread the word for you? Think about that, because a lot of time when post sell, why do we spend money on these people? They put off the mutts already. It's just because if they spread the words for you, and so we all love to ask for people who have used product and services for a company to ask for their advice. We don't want to be the first one, right?
Yeah.
We all, especially in the B2B business space, we love to learn about company who have used the services that I want to try before. If that person end up being, to able to tell the story or share their experience with your company, the gift that you send them is not going to mean anything, because you're getting so many referrals and you're getting actual case study from the customer itself.
Yeah, that's really good point to bring up. Um, yeah, I really like that. So if we're trying to do that and we find it too much, I mean, do we get a hold of you to help us with something like that, or what are your suggestions?
Well, certainly, if they wanted to reach out, I'm happy to help. But what you want to think about, because we all have a marketing budget, we all have a operational budget, right? How much that we could afford to spend acquiring a client, to keep a business running. Think about what your customer acquisition cost is. So that meaning, how much money do you need to spend to get one customer through the door? A lot of times, especially, I'm in California. So to give you some stats, right? So personal injury attorney is a very competitive category here in California. Sometimes they will spend up to 500 to up of 3,500 per client through the door
Okay.
for the injury practice. So that means that every new client walk through the door to become an actual paying client, they pay anywhere from $500 to $3,500. So that's a big amount. Whatever it can translate to, maybe your finance industry. If you're in coaching business, you need to spend certain amount of money, right, to get a client through the door. Versus if you allocate some of the budget to the retention program, right, coach your client a little bit what to say about you when their friends or colleague ask, how was your experience? And then use clever selected promo item. So then when maybe they're wearing your jacket, maybe they're using your coffee mug, maybe they're using something that's branded with your company logo. And so that when their coworker walked by the desk, I heard that you recently used that company. How was that experience? And then you could train them to become a mini advocate. So you're using the cost for the gift that you send them, obviously lower than the 500 to 3,500 per client. And then you get them to talk about your company in a real human being experience.
Yeah, and that's so important. And we already know that if they like what we've done for them, given them good service, they're already going to talk about us. So why not ask? Ask for that referral. Ask, and offer a gift. That's one thing with my podcast. I love to offer a gift, and sometimes it takes me a little bit of time to get the gift to them with all that's going on, but it's nice. I know I like receiving a gift when someone, it shows appreciation. I'm really glad that you were on my show, or I'm really glad that you were a part of this. Um, yeah, and it's not just, for podcasters, it's for every business. Uh, whether you're teaching speaking, how to speak at events, or you're connecting together, whatever your business is. So yeah, for every business, that would be great. I do want to ask you, how did you get started in this? How did you learn about something like this?
How much time do we have is a long story. But I'll give you the
Okay, we
short
got
version of
time.
it. Yeah. I used to be in a CD DVD replication business. If you're old enough like me, and you can see it on my background, uh, I'm in LA, so we work with film company and record label, actually produce the physical discs. So along the way, when musician finished the album, they asked, we're going on tour. We want t-shirt hats to sell as merchandise, right? When we go on tour. Is this something that you do? So that's our opening to get into the promotional product space, putting the logo on hats, t-shirts, film company, they would do like their red carpet gift bag. And in 2013, a competitor in LA bought us out for the CD business. Now, then we focus exclusively in promotional product ever since until now.
Wow. Wow. That's really great. And it's nice to have something from somebody you trust, whether, I've got, I just opened up a whole line of mugs and things like that, because it's nice to be able to show off somebody that you um have enjoyed working with and being a part of. So yeah, I get that. So you like what you do.
It's fun sometimes, I get to go into different category, right? So for example, customers say, I have a golf event. I want a lot of things in golf, so I dive deep into the golf event. Sometimes we'll have a corporate event. We're doing a lunch and learn. We want a gift for all the participants. So I go into different projects, and customer have different challenges. I'm a problem solver. So I love to have challenges thrown at me. And because in my industry, it's a commodity-based business. If I compete on the price of a pen, thousands of companies, literally thousands of companies can offer the same pen. What we stand differentiates ourselves is, listening to customers' problem, and really what can you do as a value proposition can solve those pain points. If you're able to solve the pain point for your client, then you have a client.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the one thing we're always told. What is the problem they're having? What's giving them that pain in their neck or wherever? And what solution do you have? Because too many of us come at something as, I have all the solutions. Well, do you have a solution for my problem? Sure. What's your problem? I can find a solution. It's like, oh, I don't know. To where if you already say, yeah, if you're having this problem, here is a solution that works with that. So, and you have to do that in most all of our businesses. Whatever we do, we've got to find the solution for them, because obviously they wouldn't be looking for it if they already had it. So that's great. One thing that you're talking about pins. There's nothing more frustrating than getting a free pin, but it falls apart in 2 days or something. And it's like, if that was my company, would I want to have a pin like that? Because one, they're not going to use it, or two, it runs out of ink so fast, they're going to throw it away. What good does that tool use? To where if you have a client that you are supporting, giving a free gift to, they're going to keep referring all the time. So that's really great. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a really good point, Elisa, because uh, most company can tell you what their mission statements are. If you ask them, what do you stand for? They could tell you, right, in a long-winded, you know, 3 hour long conversation, right? That's true, and that's good, right? But
yeah,
when it comes to buying promotional product, a lot of times they go for the lowest price column, right? They pick something like that. So, for example, when you say you're eco-friendly, do you want to buy from me that wrap in 7 layers of plastics? Or when you say you're a luxury brand, do you want to go for the lowest price column? I always challenge my clients' thinking and tell them you don't need to give the gift to everybody. So if you let me know a selected VIP, so to speak, or selected target audience, we could pick something nicer, something more relevant out of the budget that you already have allocated. You know, instead of sending everyone a low quality gift, like you said, why don't we pick out, let's say, the 20 client that give you the most business for the year, and we send them very nice gifts that are personalized. So the engagement that you're getting will be a lot higher. You know, I just did an article on LinkedIn. The title is called "Reclaiming the Human Touch in the AI World." You know, you are using AI, chatbot to take meeting notes right now. We can all go onto AI to come up with a lot of idea. But you know, a study found that 85% of the consumer feel lack of the emotional engagement to a brand. Like company A and company B is all the same because you're talking to a chatbot. So that's why the human interaction, the human engagement is a lot more important, I think, than before. You know, a promotional product, think about you give people a gift, right? Holiday gift, maybe anniversary gift, or maybe they picked up at one of the event. Could be your silent ambassador. You know, what about 10 days later when they see that item? How would you like that item to remind them of the experience? Hopefully it's a good experience, or, oh, okay, I sign up for a high dollar event. This is like the cheap plan that I get. Like, which way do you rather to be? So those are kind of the question, and then the thinking that I wanted to suggest to my client when they decide on a campaign.
yeah, that's really great. Um, I wanted to test out AI. And gosh, this would have been at the beginning of the year. And children's books, if you write them for like 4 or 5 year olds, there's not much to them. There's just a few things. So I put in there the suggestion, this is the book I'd like to write. This is what I want it to say. And I gave it a few more details and I asked it to write the book, tell them how many words, and I'll have an illustration with each little piece. And so it wrote the book and I'm reading it and it's like, it was like it was still. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And I put in there, I go, well, yes, this is a children's book and I guess it would be okay, but there's something missing. It just doesn't seem like it has that spark in it, that life. And the AI wrote back, it's like you're right. This type of story needs that personal experience that can only come from the human. I thought, okay. But it was, and I know that people sometimes use AI to write their books, but there's a really great example I mean, this is just a simple thing. Kid's not going to know whether it's written by AI or the human, but as you're reading it, you're going to feel the difference. You're going to know that there's something there. And it's so easy to get caught up in AI. It's in everything, it really is in just about everything we do. And there's nothing wrong with using it, but don't forget to include the human element in there to let your client know how important they are to you.
Yeah, that's a great example. It's not that we're saying not to use it. I use it
Yeah,
myself all the time. It's just that when you reach out to client or reach out to any human being, now we're bombarded with ads on YouTube. There's
yeah,
so many ads that you will see. Our attention or focus is really short. So Not saying that don't use any digital marketing strategy, but use physical, tangible touch point. I call it, promotional product is a touch point. In-person event is another touch point, right? You shake their hands in person. Think about using different touch point to make your impression to a client, because in digital marketing, a lot of big company can really outspend you, and we can't outspend big company out there, unfortunately. But
Right.
by putting back the human touch, or really know where your target audience hang out, and you're going to be there, it will be a lot more effective than sending another digital ad, or having them see another video that is not relevant to it. So think about how people wanted to receive the information from you.
Okay, that's really great news. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so let's see, you help us get client referrals. You help with personal products, making sure that we're giving a good product, not just something to be giving them. What else do you do?
So a lot of things that I could be involved in, and that's why it's fun to be the promo guy, right? So
Yeah.
it could be a lead generation. We can make special product that engage uh, to promote activity, to create engagement for people, because a lot of time people love to be part of a team. Imagine that if you belong to a nonprofit group, maybe you like a special local sports team, right? If you follow football or whatever sports organization that you belong to, if you give them something meaningful to be aware or to be shared, then you can make them part of the team. And when you do that, you actually create more engagement, loyalty for your employees, maybe your followers, or if you are in a nonprofit organization, you just keep that follower engaged. And when you ask them to take on certain action at some point, they're more willing to do that instead of you asking them to do things over and over again. People get tired because of that. Like, there's a tricky fine line to do that. But there's a lot of case study out there, and there's a lot of good success story that you could use, combine those strategies.
Yeah, and that's really good. Sorry about my phone. I usually turn them off. I forgot today. Um, Yeah, that's really great. There are different strategies you can use, and you don't want to you can keep using the same one for a while, but then after a while it's like, oh, this is just the same thing, even though it may still be really great. People like variety. We just do. That's why you have all these different restaurants and all these different recipes and all these different companies and all these different ways of doing things. And it's not always competition. It's just one person might have a different way of doing something that you can have 20 apple pies and they're all going to taste different from each other because everybody adds their own flavor to it, which is great. That's what we do. That's what we love to do. So this is amazing. How do people get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. If you Google my name, Swire Ho, hashtag the promo guy, you can find me on LinkedIn. You love to connect and network with everyone. If you wanted to learn more about a business in promotional product, you could go to our website at garudapromo.com. I'd love to extend an invitation for a free consultation for your listener. If you do have a particular story or campaign you're trying to develop, love to find out more about what you are looking for, and then to provide a custom solutions for you.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I have to ask you, one of the hardest things that entrepreneurs can do is balance work and family and their own self-care together. What's, let's just have a couple of things that you do to keep all of that in unity.
That's a great question, and I do that myself
Don't you?
sometimes. I love to balance myself, so I'm a big fan for fitness, right? So I love my hobbies, but then there's still a business needs to be run. So how do you actually make it fun? So that's why I think promotional product is a flexible industry, and then depending on the particular interest for that distributor, that's how we call it. You could dive deep into a particular industry. I could target, esports teams. If you like video game, for example, or if you like to work with nonprofits, you could target nonprofits. each of them can spark my interest and keep me engaged, and at the same time give me to touch on interest that we do. I do a lot of sports item. I do a
Yeah.
lot of sports events, so that makes me touch on something that I'm passionate about. So I think you have to make fun and work together sometime if you can,
Yeah.
and then that's how you can stay engaged and motivated.
Oh, that's really great advice, because if you love what you do, you're going to find ways to keep it connected with yourself and what you do. So do you ever take time away from all of it and just go be by yourself? Do you have like that half hour in the morning that you take, or what about something like that?
I love to go to the gym, so that's my quiet time. I also practice karate myself. So I think by me time, I do enjoy being that, because sometimes you do think about work. I'm not saying that I'm going to shut down and not think about
No,
work, but maybe you have a particular problem that you can't get away from. But then by doing something else, then it will suddenly click to you. Oh, okay, maybe I'll just do it like this. It will actually solve my problem. Because if you're in the heat of the moment, you can't seem to find a solution. But then if you
right.
try to like walk away, do a short walk or do something else that you enjoy, you can actually solve the problem quite easier, from my experience.
Yep, absolutely. My grandchildren, as they're growing older, and some of them are already, out of high school, but I remember talking to one of them and saying, well, whatever you're doing, just take a break, go away from it, and you'll find an answer. And they're like, well, how can that happen? I mean, they were really frustrated that they couldn't get this problem solved. And I says, I really don't understand the thought process behind it, except you're giving your brain a break to go do something else, letting it rest, relax, and all of a sudden it's going to come to you. And they were just having a tough day. They were kind of mad at me for suggesting such a weird thing that ever happened. And a few days later, they said, Mima, it worked. And I said, what worked? And they said, I did what you said. I didn't think it was going to work. I was really mad at you for saying such a stupid thing. But I went to the park and I hung out with my friends, and all of a sudden I realized the solution. And so it's so true. Taking your mind away from it to find the solution you want is the best thing to do.
Yeah, and that's you can't be like human touch, right? You could talk to AI,
Yeah.
AI will talk back to you if you're crazy enough, like it will answer anything that you like, but still nothing beats human interaction by talking to you, seeing your facial expression, you probably are empathy, right? You comfort them.
Yeah.
Maybe someday AI can do that, but right now there's nothing beats the human
No,
touch.
that's right. That's right. And you brought up a good point. Sometimes comforting and sometimes just being there and not saying anything. I mean, you can sit there and stare at your AI screen, but eventually you're walk away or you're going to type something in. But when you've got a friend, someone you're working with, and you just say, I just need someone here, but I need it in silence. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to say, I want you here, but I don't want you to say anything. I just need presence, because presence matters so much.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a better listener too. Like
Yeah.
listening, in business, in personal life, I think it matters. Like I don't mind like going back to business, right? A customer call me and complain to me their pain. So I love conversation like that. If they thought of me, they think that
Yeah.
I'm going to be the one available to that. I'm all for it, because at some point I could be useful. And then, with my family and friends, if they wanted to talk about the problems that they have. Sometimes, like you're right, they just wanted to complain to someone
Yeah.
else. They just want to take it all out. And then
Yeah.
after they feel better.
Yeah, yeah, because they don't know what to do with it, and it's there, and they have to do something. I know a lot of people will talk about journaling, and for a while, I was just having this frustration, and I couldn't get it out. And somebody said, just journal it. So I got a journal, and I just wrote in there, and I was so frustrated with this that eventually I was just drawing doodles and circles and just angry. But you know what? After a few days of doing that, I didn't have the problem anymore. It didn't keep coming back into my mind. I found a great solution for it, but I got it out. So, and I wouldn't have known to do that if I hadn't talked to somebody. Because I didn't, so when I was starting out, I didn't know what journaling was. I'd never even heard of it before.
Yeah, because help is always there. Like because now
Yeah.
we're so locked into our devices, right? So
Yes.
we didn't know that exists, right? But by talking to someone that cares for you, actually it matters to a lot of the problem that we're going through.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I put a post up on social media on Friday to remember to take a break from our computers, our machines, everything that we've got, and just hang out with people because people are life. That's where the real life is. And it's great to have this. Don't get me wrong. I love podcasting. I love talking with my guests and interacting with people and doing the workshops and all of that. But there's still, we all know there's still nothing like having that human connection, that interaction.
Yeah, I think virtual meeting is better than on the phone, right? But obviously nothing beats in-person
Oh,
meeting.
yeah.
So, but I'm glad that with technology, I'm actually able to connect to people like you, LS,
Yeah.
and also a lot of people around the world. Normally we wouldn't have met. So I think that's one thing good about technology nowadays is you could talk to anyone really in the world.
Yes. Yes. But we have to remember to not just rely on the technology. What happens when it goes down? I went to talk, send a message to a friend of mine who's in Ireland, and I haven't talked to her for 3 months, which, we don't do a lot of things together. We just, check on each other once in a while. And I couldn't get into any of her social medias. It's like she just disappeared. Well, I finally found she just redone her sites and everything. And I hadn't been updated. I mean, it was 3 months, and it's like, wow, I felt so disconnected. Like, how am I going to get a hold of her? What happened here? And so I finally found her and I wrote her a message, and it was really good to connect with her. But yeah, we need to make sure that we've got those contacts, that we've got the phone, we've got the address, a mailing address of nothing else, because we want to stay connected. One of my bucket list. It's not so much a dream or a vision for business, but it's a bucket list I'd like to do is go travel to the other countries and actually meet in person these people I've been speaking with and have gotten to know and become good friends with. And it doesn't sound like we're good friends if I didn't get older for 3 months. But gosh, I've got a friend from high school that sometimes we go 2 or 3 years without talking. And when we get together, it's like we hadn't seen each other for a month, still
Mhm.
still interacting and finding out everything that goes on. So, to have those nice relationships and friendships that hang on, that it's okay if we don't see each other for 2 years, but we're gonna get right back into it as if we'd been talking to each other all along. So yeah, that's great advice to, make sure you know how to get a hold of your people. And just don't rely on technology alone to get you there or social media because we don't know what's going to happen. Um, so, do you have any closing thoughts for us?
In business wise, I think, focus on, since we talk about the human touch, right? We all focus on the human touch, in your personal life, in business, find what the other person loves to be connect, like what method they want to be connect. A lot of times
Yeah.
I do ask that question because now I'm at the age of my life that a lot of my clients are younger than I do. Like usually it's the other way in reverse, and I have to accept that, right? So not a lot of people like you and I, LS, that crave the in-person interaction. I have a customer that only want to be text. Don't
Yeah.
call them. If you call them, they get upset. So it's my job to find out what is the preferred method they want to be contact. What
Good.
kind of method they want to be interact with. Actually in work, I actually put them into different category, different profile. So it will actually be helpful because if you wanted to target certain people, they want to be addressed in a certain way. So I learned that from interacting with my kids, with people my age, guys at the gym, they all talk differently, right? It's
Yeah.
when you talk to them in the way that they love to be talked to, then you can get through so much better than if I presume that you are that certain people I talk to you a certain way, end up we getting conflict because they don't appreciate that you actually reach out or talk to them that way. So hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So much, it does. Um, yeah, because, we have to realize that the kids, and I'm going to say kids, meaning people 20 to 35 years of age, um, didn't grow up in the world that we grew up in. You and I remember the world without technology, and they've never seen the world without technology. It's been there in some way, in some form. And so it's very different. And you would think someone as old as me with my white hair wouldn't be able to communicate with my teenage grandkids or anything, but we do because I've learned what their language is. I learned how they like to talk and how they like to interact. So it's important to do that with our clients as well. If we want them to stay clients, we need to be courteous of what they prefer as well as ourselves.
Yeah, because a lot of people do buy emotionally. Like, would you rather work with someone that you like and enjoy working with, or work with someone just because they have a cheaper price standpoint? If all things equal, you want to work with a friend that you think that they listen to you, right? But it takes time, right? It takes longer to get to know a person, to know, what they like and dislike. And then going back to the pain point, if you know what they care about, or what they don't care about. So when you make your pitch or when you're trying to persuade them to do something, it will be a lot easier.
Yes, very much so. So tell us again how we can connect with you.
Just find me, Swire Ho, hashtag the promo guy. I'm on LinkedIn. Go to our website, garudapromo.com, if you want to learn more about how promotional product can help your business.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for being my guest today. I really, really do cherish our time together. And thank you, our audience, for inviting us into your life for a few moments. And get a hold of Swire Ho and have a lovely chat. You can see how easy he is to talk with. And we'll see you next time on Wisdom on the Front Porch. Be sure and check out our webpage. We've got our new magazine issue coming out. We're on issue number 5, almost ready for issue 6, and then we'll have our first whole year completed. So we'll see you next time on Wisdom on the Front Porch. Thank you.
Thank you, my Front Porch friends and neighbors, for pulling up a chair with me and my guest today on Wisdom on the Front Porch. Now, if you've got value from this conversation, would you do me a favor? Leave a quick review, then share it with someone you know who could use some inspiration. It helps more friends find their seat on the porch. And hey, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss what's next. Until then, keep the porch light on for new wisdom every time you show up. Your seat's always here for you on the porch.